Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be doing an interview with Miss Yelis of Yelis Creates Beauty. And we're going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to jump right in, and we're going to talk about all of her plans for the industry, how she got here, where she's going, and hopefully help inspire some of you to maybe follow in her footsteps and do the same thing. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
You are officially the first interview. I know. Officially the first interview. June was crazy. Summer break and kids going on to break and then trying to figure out what to do with them summer break and then work with this and then take clients. So it's been a crazy month. I'm excited to have you.
Oh, it's so nice.
Thank you for being here. She brought me a super cute crystal gift. Orange calcite, if you haven't noticed in the background back here, we've got some really pretty rocks. So I'm very thankful for that. My gift to you is a nice bottle of water. So introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what is your business.
Okay, so my name is Yelis Gonzalez Knight. I'm the owner of Yelis Creates Beauty. I specialize more in like holistic facials, full body waxing, just like a little bit about how I got here.
Yeah.
I was actually a medical assistant for like 9 years.
Wow.
Did that for a while. And then the pandemic happened. So then the 360 totally changed. And then I really was like thinking, what do I want to do like long-term wise? And I always loved beauty and making people feel beautiful. So I finally like enrolled of like April 2021 into beauty school. And like in November 2021, that's when I took my boards and here I am.
Now, are you a licensed esthetician then?
Yes.
Sweet, yeah. So,
yeah.
So when where'd you go to school?
Milan.
And how was your experience?
It's beauty school, you just want to get through it because you want to like actually get out there into the field and actually really start getting your hands and like doing the work, you know what I mean? Because
that's what I say when people ask, like, what beauty school should I go to? I'm like, honestly, when you get down to it, they're all the same, and it really just depends on like your mindset going in, and that kind of just like helps save you from the nonsense that goes on at every beauty school. It's not like one's not worse or better than the other. I feel like it's real easy to get sucked into nonsense if you're not like focused in beauty school, because beauty school is really just to teach you like the fundamentals and get you licensed and like get you on your way. And I think some people don't really take it for what it is, and they try to make all of these friends, and they try to, the competition feeling between each other kind of kicks in real early, and that's just, we don't need that. There's plenty of that when you get into the industry. You don't need that in beauty school. So where are you originally from? Because you're not originally from Fresno.
So I am actually from Miami, Florida. I moved here when I was about 9 years old with my grandma and my mom, and then we've been here because most of our families from here, so we like decided to come back because they were helping my mom and my grandma kind of raise me growing up, as my mom being a single mother and all. So I'm originally from Miami, Florida, which was a big like change because from humidity to like dry heat, I was like, oh, this is different, but I could handle it. Like it's a good
so
change.
Even at 9 you could tell like there's a big difference between Miami
and
Fresno. Well, that's cool. So you've been here since you were 9. And then you said that for 9 years, you're a medical assistant. So I know like the pandemic hit, but like, do you feel like anything you've learned from those 9 years as a medical assistant has helped in the beauty industry, or do you feel like it's two completely different worlds?
I feel like it did help me a lot because I did work for a dermatologist. I have worked for like a pain management doctor and everything like that. So it's like that experience with like skin and like knowing chemistry and like the anatomy. I feel like it really helped me like gravitate towards more to skin, and I feel like that's why I caught it up like really easier. So that's why I feel like it just like helped me a lot more being an esthetician, kind of having that background with like science and everything.
I feel, especially with having worked with the dermatologist, you're seeing more kind of serious conditions, I'm assuming, and learning a lot kind of on that end. That's really cool. When I went to beauty school, I had already had years of experience doing makeup, and so I feel like that going into beauty school really helped me understand skin a little bit better because I'd already worked on so many different types of faces and types of skin and people with all kinds of different skin issues and things. And I feel like that journey helped me when I got into beauty school understand skin on just a whole nother level, which then helped me do makeup better because now I understood why the skin was reacting to different products. And do you feel like
definitely
that kind of translated?
Yeah.
Do you miss the medical field?
Yes and no. You know what I mean? Like, of course, it's always nice having that like 9 to 5, like security of like what you know you're always going to make when you do have like a regular job. That's the only thing with your entrepreneur. It's always like it's different. One week you're completely fully booked, and then the next week you're like, I don't know what happened this week, but there's like my books are not as filled. So it's always that insecurity, I guess, when you get into it. But I just the results, everything that I have received from it, the blessings have been, I can't even describe it. It's been amazing. It's been worth everything. Like,
what was the hardest part when letting go of those 9 years experience, medical sustain, what was like the hardest?
I'm so used to discipline. I feel like I've always been like, I know I got to get up early in the morning, got to go to work and everything like that. And it's like a little bit slower pace now. Like, when you can make your own schedule and you can like take the days off that you want to, work the hours that you want to. Like, I was like, oh, like there's like, I can have this like flexibility, my schedule. So it's a little different, but I totally appreciate it. Like, I love it so much. Like, it's been great.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who go into beauty school and get licensed after they've already had a normal job. And I feel like one of the biggest and hardest transitions is going from a steady paycheck to if I don't work, I don't get paid. There is no sick leave. There is no boss to call out. Like, it's all me or nothing. And when you transitioned, did you go down like part-time and kind of do your beauty stuff on side, or did you just go all in full time?
I went all in. Yeah. I started actually home-based for a while just to like, because you start with like literally no clients, just like everybody else does. There's not really like no clients. So I started home base, and then once I was able to see that I had enough clientele so that I can get my own little like studio, then I was able to get like my own little spot.
And you know what? I've been in the industry for so long, and what really kills me is how much bashing there is on people who start home based. And I just have to say, I have seen the industry and rules and stuff change, especially since COVID, and that have affected our industry to where when you get out of beauty school, it's like you only have really two choices. You're either jumping in and renting, or you're someone's employee and you're learning under someone else.
That's true.
And before, it's like we used to have commission options where we could be commission paid between a salon, and we'd earn a commission, and it was just kind of easier to build a clientele, and there wasn't pressure to like all in or nothing. But that's kind of been taken away the last few years that a new law has gone through. And so that's like, it's been a while since that law has happened, but it's a big transition for people, and it can be scary. And do you have advice for people who are just like, I'm just going to go all in, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, I think always knowing not to give up. Honestly, that's the big one. Your books may not be filled, like I said, every single day when you're really getting started, but don't let that discourage you. Keep working on the things that you know that you can do, like content. I know right now is like the biggest thing for people. So if you have the downtime, work on that. Work on networking, collaborating with future, other estheticians, cosmetologists, barbers, whoever is in the industry. That really does help you a lot. It's like really true what they say, collaboration over competition. It does help so much because you really can learn from one another. There's so much knowledge that I've met with other estheticians and other beauty professionals. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know you could do it that way.
I know what you're talking before I started talking about like phones, like I didn't even know that my phone had that feature until I saw somebody else using it. It's like, oh wait, what does that do? Oh, I could do that? That's cool, but I wouldn't have known that had I not like sat down and hung out with somebody else. That's awesome. So let's see. So you moved from Miami at 9. Did you always want to get into the beauty industry, or did you always want to get into the medical field? What did 9-year-old you want to be?
I did want to get into the beauty industry at a young age, but my family like really was like, that's not a career. Like you need to be like a nurse, which is what I was originally going for. I was trying to get my nursing license, and I was like, well, I guess that's a career. But then I was like, I got to that point where in my life I was like, I'm getting older now. Like, you know, what do I really want to do every day that's gonna make me feel fulfilled? That's gonna make me feel happy, you know? And I was like, as much as I appreciate, you know, the medical field, and I have respect for everyone who works in the medical field because I know how hard it could be, I was like, this is just not for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that I can see myself like 10 years from now waking up and being like happy to do it. You know what I mean? But the beauty industry, I was like, this is something that I can get up every single day, and I just want to keep pushing forward, seeing how much more I can learn and grow from this. You know, it's like,
that's what's so fun about our industry too, is that there's always something new, whether it's trends or products or techniques. Like there is just always something new to learn that's going to better you or your service or your business in some way. And I feel like those of us who are in the industry because we genuinely love it, we will never get tired of learning. And this industry always has something for us to learn.
Yes.
And I love that. Yeah. I love that. There's so many services, and I plan on doing a whole episode about services that like I've gone and done training and been certified and learned how to do and love doing, but I don't offer anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's a handful of those things. Like I've tried to narrow my services menu now down to like really 3 or 4 different services with different options in those services. But there's like a whole list of things that I've gone off and learned just because I love learning, and I've got that creative mind that I think a lot of us in this industry have. And it's like, we're just curious, like, what would it take to learn that? Is that something I could implement into my business? And you've gone to school, and I know when I went, we did the whole skincare, and there is no focus on holistic skincare, right? So what took you from what you learned in beauty school and then wanting to reach further and learn another type of skincare?
I think the more I was reading into like different types of books that I kept finding about skin, and then how the skin, it's not just like the outer skin, but it's also like inner, what we're putting inside our bodies, what we're, you know, what kind of prebiotics are we taking, what kind of medications we're taking, all this stuff like comes into like play with the skin that can affect it in different ways. And the more I was like learning about that, like when I was reading like through all these books, I was like, okay, so like all these different kind of herbs and like botanicals and different things like that, the power that they have to like really take over with the skin. And then I kept like reading other different types of books that had to do with like sound bathing and different elements, and I was like, wow, that just sounds like beautiful. So like I started thinking, why not implement all these things together and see where it goes. And when I did, I was like, this is perfect. I like the kind of flow that we have going here, you know what I mean?
And for anyone who has never heard of sound bathing, how would you describe that?
Oh my god, it is the most relaxing noise I have ever heard in my life. And it really is true what they say, like it's great for if you have like anxiety problems, like if you're a person who's really anxious or you just have like a lot going on in your life. Different frequencies help with your mind, and they help you relax and release kind of different serotonins to like relax you throughout that process. So as I was all like, I think this would be a cool idea to add it into facials to make, you know, the experience a little bit more fun, more elevated, more like in zen.
So I have done sound bathing, and it's true. It's like the most relaxing and quiet your mind will ever be. And it's not only the sound, but almost even the vibrations you get from those sounds, that is just like your whole body just like takes a deep breath and just like like it's the most relaxing. So I think that's really cool that you bring that into your facials, because you want your clients to be calm and relaxed so that they really get like the full experience. Is that something you like right out the gate started with, or is that something like you've newly introduced into your services, and how are your clients loving it?
So I kind of always was incorporating, I've always loved crystals. So I've always was incorporating that. And then I always use like energy cleansers such as like sage and Palo Santo, things like that. But more the holistic thing, I think I started it a little bit more towards ending 2022, 2023 is when I started really implementing it more into my facials.
Yeah.
Because I really was diving into more of that side of skincare and how I can help not just like the mind and the body, but the soul and the spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Now, is it, when you do your sound bath, is it music? Is it chimes? Is it a singing bowl? Like what do you use?
I use a singing bowl.
Okay.
And then I do use like tuning forks. I use those as well. And then I incorporate like, depending on like whatever, I guess, energy I'm feeling with the client, then that's when I really incorporate like the crystals and stuff like that for them to kind of give them that extra little feel for it.
So with new clients who've never booked with you before, how do you explain that service to them?
So usually in my consent forms, I do have it on there, like whether they do want me to incorporate that or not. If they don't want to, that's totally fine. They can opt out of that service. But when I am like introducing like a new client to that, I kind of show them exactly that, like how all this combines into one big thing to help everything. And like when they hear that, then they're like, I guess that is true, because once I am like, you know, doing the sound bowls and turning the forks and all that stuff, they're like, whoa, like what was that noise? What was these vibrations that I felt, that I feel like so at ease, like I feel calm and like comfortable, like, you know, just that feeling, like I'm like, yeah. And then like now we're also going to be doing like a double cleanse, and we're going to be doing this and this, you know, the whole purpose of why we double cleanse the skin, why we do certain modalities for certain skin. And they're like, oh, I can see how this kind of like all like works comes together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that with skincare, people, I mean, obviously they're not estheticians, so they don't understand everything that goes into it. But I think there's a lot of like misinformation, very like old school information, like, okay, you're going to come in and we're going to wash your face for you, and then we're going to scrub your face for you, and then we're going to put a mask on you, and then we might massage your face a little bit, and then we slap some serums on you and call it a day. When really it's like there's so much more that goes into. And I feel like when I went through beauty school, I was fortunate enough to have an instructor who really made sure that her students understood that there was more to it than just cleaning somebody's face, and that there's a special connection that you have with your client, because you're touching your client. You're like inches away from their face, and you're really in their space. And so I really appreciated that my instructor took the time to like, hey guys, we're not just like popping pimples and steaming someone's pores open. Like we're touching this client, we're in their space, or in a very vulnerable place to be lying there in a room maybe they've never been in before. And I think like when you incorporate more personalized touches, I think that makes the experience more special. And I don't know, do you feel like there's very many estheticians that offer like a holistic touch to their services? Because I feel like there's only a couple of people I can think of that offer a more holistic approach.
That I know of, not that many, you know, and I think the more, like I said, the more I think people have a better understanding of what it all entails. I think we might be seeing that a lot more in the Central Valley, which is kind of like my hope that I have. And
I think since coming out of whatever that was in 2020, I feel like people need to be more open on ways of like relaxing and de-stressing. And is there a service that you offer? Like if somebody talks about, oh, I've just been so stressed out, my skin's crazy. Like, is there something like automatically in your brain, like, oh, I know what we're doing? Or do you take more time to like talk with them.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more like wanting to talk to them because I kind of like want to know like a little bit more about them. Like, what is it that they're kind of going through in their lives? What is it that they're, what is it that you're eating? What is it that you're putting on your body? Like, what kind of products and everything like that. I always want to know a little bit more, and I like digging.
Yeah. And it's really interesting that you bring up, like, what are you putting in your body and what's happening internally? Because, skin is our largest organ. And when people's skin is reacting funny, the first thing to think of, like, well, is what did I put on it? Is it a new cleanser? Is it a new sunscreen? Oh, the air has been bad. But they don't always take the time to think about what's happening inside of our body. And people, oh, well, I'm not drinking enough water. That's why my skin is dry. When it's like, oh, there might be a little bit more to that. And it makes me think back to when I first got licensed, I did a lot more skincare. And I had probably only been licensed it's probably within my first year. And I had a new client come in for a facial. And we're sitting there talking about her skin and if there's any changes she's noticed recently or any issues that she's been dealing with recently. And as we're chit-chatting and I'm kind of like evaluating her face and her skin and she's telling me about the problem areas and I'm like focusing on those areas and we're coming up with a game plan. I'm realizing where her breakouts are happening and I can see that her eyes are a little cloudy. And we get going into the skincare treatment and I'm kind of putting like pieces of the puzzle together in my mind. And I asked her, do you have or in your family history issues with your liver? And she's like, it is so weird that you ask me that because my father had liver problems and grandfather had liver problems and I've been experiencing some weird symptoms. And I was like, just from an esthetician's point of view, where your breakouts are happening, and I can see, you mentioned your vision's changed recently, and we're talking, and I'm like, I think you should probably maybe go get your liver checked out. Like you mentioned, you've got a doctor's appointment. Like I would really recommend like you ask to have your liver evaluated. And maybe a month later, she called me and was like, I'm so thankful that you said that because I am in the beginning stages of liver failure.
You see?
And had you not brought that up to all these other signs, I wouldn't have said that to my doctor and we might not have even looked at it. So all that internal stuff is so important.
Yeah.
So for all of you estheticians or aspiring estheticians, like really pay attention to that portion in your education about how what happens internally affects the skin. Because there's stories. One of our students, one of the fellow students in my class, we got to that portion of like moles and skin cancer, and guess what? We found a skin cancer mole on the back of her leg. And she found it while we were in class. We were looking over that portion of the chapter in our book, and she went and got that taken care of. So like, really pay attention to that. Yeah. That portion.
That's true. We're saving lives.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're just washing someone's face. No, like we're really not just washing someone's face. Have you had any experiences with clients where it's not just a surface thing, like you kind of help them pinpoint like what's happening internally?
Yes. Yeah. I had a young teenage girl actually that she came with her mom, and her mom is, she told me she's really young. She was like 12 or 13 when she first started coming to me. Yeah, so she was like, I don't know if it's just like her being a teenager and she's having these issues. And then like that's when I really started asking her like more about like her gut and if she was taking prebiotics and stuff like that. Because she was eating a lot of spicy foods and her breakouts were all coming out like on this area. Yeah. And it was funny because like once I had told her about like prebiotics, recommended her some, and then I think she wanted to go see her doctor, and her doctor had tested her stool. I think they did blood work, and then I forgot what else the mom said that they tested her for, but she had some sort of gut issue going on there. And then with the right prebiotics, her skin has just done a 360. Yeah. It's so crazy.
It's tricky too, like working with teens, especially like preteens, because they are going through puberty.
Yes.
And then like talking with parents about how to help their preteen, because it's like we can help you learn how to take care of the surface and try, all these pre and probiotics. But like some of it is hormonal and some of it really is just like you gotta just kind of like get through it.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, I mean, she's doing a lot better. I mean, her skin has cleared up. She feels a lot more confident about herself. Like now she doesn't even feel like wearing makeup. I mean, how much more better can that be, right? When you don't have to wear no makeup, you're just walking around feeling your best self.
You can make another woman, regardless of her age, feel confident.
Yeah.
And that you can wear makeup if you want to, but to make them feel like they don't need to do that, like,
yeah. Even better. It's like, yay.
Mission accomplished. That's like, that's what we want. We want people to feel good about like the skin that they're in and that they're putting their best self forward. Yeah, I love that. Poor preteens. They get it. It's hard.
It's hard.
Girls and boys. Yeah. Preteen. Puberty is hard. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So as far as the holistic skincare goes, if there's somebody else out there watching that's like, this is intriguing to them, piquing their interest, how would you advise them to kind of get started in that?
I honestly, well, right now I'm actually in the process of writing a book on how to start your business, but I have had a lot of inquiries lately about if I would do one-on-one trainings.
Yep.
So that is something that I am actually currently trying to work on, trying to get something going to do one-on-one trainings with aspiring estheticians to be, or even if they're currently an esthetician already and they just want to add more services to it. It's something that I definitely want to do more one-on-one trainings because I love that one-on-one connection, because I feel like you just learn better than sometimes being in groups of 3 or 4, which is fine, but I love the one-on-one connections more.
So being that I started out in 2001,
oh my gosh,
there was no online training. There was no virtual training. Our only option was in person.
Yeah.
It maybe wasn't one-on-one, but it was in person with some other people, and like that's how we did it. And I am definitely a hands-on learner. I can read it. I can listen to you talk about it on screen. But until I get my hands in there and doing the things, it doesn't click for me as fast. So with the new world, the last 4 years, so much of it had to go online and some of it had to be virtual. And I feel like it's kind of like a disservice to our industry because we are touching clients. So for us to learn not hands-on, I feel like we really need that hands-on. So I love hearing that people are getting back to that and offering the one-on-one, but also that people are asking for the one-on-one again. Because there was a good couple of years there where everyone just wanted the virtual training, everyone just wanted the online. It's convenient. People can learn as they go. Like, I get it. And I'm not saying that I don't love the online stuff. I love that that's an option for people because some people do learn better that way. I know that some people have anxiety issues with like being in a class with other people and feel like they're on the spot. And like, I get it for sure. But I love that those who are comfortable with hands-on training are asking for it again.
Yeah.
Because it's so beneficial for the student, but also for the educator. I've done lots of virtual trainings. I have an online training, and it's lonely sitting there feeling like you're just talking to the camera. Like, I love being hands-on with students and like being right next to them and seeing where they might be struggling. And sometimes when it's online or it's like virtual, it's hard for me to read people. Like, when I'm in class face-to-face, hands-on in the product and the service, when I can tell when they're being a little hesitant. I can read their facial expressions a little bit better. I can feel like that energy of like, not really sure this is right. And like, I can jump on it and get in there and help them out. Whereas when it's virtual or it's pre-recorded a year ago and they're buying my online class, it's like, I'm not there to do that with them. And so I miss that as the educator. So I love hearing that. Yeah, you're working on a book, but you're also doing stuff hands-on, especially for what you do, holistic, like skincare and all that. Like,
everything in the industries in general, I'm like, you have to get your hands like
we're working on people.
Yeah, like you have to get that experience. You got to get that feel, because that's the only way that you're gonna really like perfect your craft and whatever you're gonna do. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. The one-on-one trainings are really where it's at.
And I love that that's all people are wanting that again.
Yes.
It's not just good for it's good for the industry as a whole, but also it's good for all the clients. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, if you've got one esthetician who did all their training online, has never actually touched a client, versus the esthetician who's licensed on their training but have been hands-on and have people in the book that they've done stuff like as a client, who do you want to
go
to? So I love that. So besides the holistic skincare, you also do waxing, right? Your face lights up. So funny story, when I went to beauty school, I really thought I was going to hate waxing, and I was really hesitant to even like learn it. As a makeup artist, I know how important eyebrows are to people. And if you mess up an eyebrow, at least with makeup, you wipe it off, start over. But like if you wax somebody and mess up that eyebrow, like, sorry, you're going to have to wait 4 weeks for that brow to grow back. Yeah. So I just felt like, pressure. But then I had to do my first brow wax. And let me tell you, when I pulled that first strip, I was like, okay, line them up, let's go. Were you hesitant at all about learning waxing, or were you excited?
Oh my goodness, yes. When I was in beauty school, like, I was like, I don't want to wax. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to wax. Like, and I feel like too, it was just like the kind of wax that we were using. Like, I don't know, the consistency for me, I just could not get it down when I was in beauty school. It was like, why is it coming apart? And like, honestly, like actually, like I said, going hands-on, getting that practice in, it's like once you start messing around with different waxes and you see that every wax is actually different, because you do have to play around with it. The consistency is never the same with every wax. You start kind of getting more of that, ease into it. And then when you start getting used to the wax, then it's fun. Then it's really fun. It's so satisfying.
I know, it's no hair. Like people who like love doing extractions, and you have people like, oh my god, I can't even stand the thought of it. And then you have people like, waxing and touching people and being all up in their space, and you have other people like us who are like, let's do it. So, how many like different brands of wax do you think that you've tried?
Oh my god, I'm wax crazy. Like, I don't know how many different waxes I've tried.
Do you still feel like you're
even now. Like, I love it. I love playing with different wax. Like, I know more lately, I've just kind of been sticking more to Rebel wax. Black Coral wax is another one that I use. And Sexy Smooth wax is another new one that really came out that I've been loving. But I just love playing with different wax.
Hard wax or soft wax?
I'm definitely a hard wax girl.
Hard wax girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like there's a time and a place for each one.
Yeah.
But hard wax, I mean, soft wax you could speed wax too, but hard wax I feel like you can really like. Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a little learning to like get your angle on that stick right and your pressure. But yeah, I feel like once you get that, you're like,
let's go. Let's have some fun.
And you do full body.
Yes. Full body.
Full body. That means resilience.
Yes.
And I don't know about your experience in beauty school, but in mine, it wasn't in the curriculum to learn a Brazilian. I think that might be, I don't know if that's like nationwide, but that might be a California thing with beauty schools not being allowed to do full Brazilians in class as the curriculum. I don't know if that's changed, but I believe at the time when I went to beauty school, that was an actual thing. Like the schools weren't allowed to do that for lots of different reasons, mostly liability. But how did you learn Brazilians if it wasn't in your curriculum?
Let me tell you, I just, the queen, have you followed the waxing queen?
Yes.
God, yes. I love her. I love her so much. I am not joking. When I first started waxing, especially doing Brazilians, I was like, all my best friends, I was like, girl, I'm going to get this down. Like, I was watching her videos. I kid you not. Like, I would pause it. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And then that's honestly how I learned waxing.
So how quickly do you do Brazilian?
Now I can do them in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
First timers, I feel like I always take a lot longer just because they're not used to the positions. I never like to rush anybody when it's their first time. I want to make them feel always as comfortable as possible. But once they're already used to the positions and everything, I'm like, girl, this 20 minutes in and out. Let's have some fun.
And clients are so funny.
They are so
like so I don't do Brazilians anymore, but I definitely in the beginning had to pay my dues, and I worked for this really great day spa that's still here in town, and Brazilians were like a big request, and so I had to get it down. I had to learn it, and I very quickly realized that there's a couple different types of clients, right? There's a client who's done a bazillion times, and she's just like, all right, how do you want me? And it's like, hands are dropped, they're on the table, you're like, oh, you've done this before. And then you have the other ones that they've done it a couple of times, but they're still a little like, shy, which is fine. Then you have the newbies that are like terrified.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got the ones that laugh and scream the whole service.
I love those.
And then you have the clients that are trying, like, they need like something to bite down on so that they don't scream. They're afraid to. Yeah. It's an interesting
it is mix. So fun though. Like the conversations that you have with these clients, I'm like, I have the best time. Like literally, like the best conversations come from waxing. Yeah, they really do. Like I have the best time.
So if you've got a esthetician or cosmetologist out there who's on the fence about learning Brazilians, what would you tell them?
Just keep going. Honestly. Trial and error. It's going to happen. Don't be afraid to do your first wax.
Yeah.
It's always the scariest because you're like, oh my God, am I going to hurt somebody? Try and always do it with like maybe a close friend, maybe a family member, somebody that you know that like, even if you were to mess up, it's going to be okay. They're not going to kill you. You know what I mean? Just kind of go about it that way and, just keep going, Don't worry so much about the time that you're taking to wax.
Yeah.
Learn your technique down first. Once you get that, then I promise you it will be
I feel like that's with every
easier.
Service too. Like don't get so hung up on the fact that you think it's taking you longer than it should, because it's really about your technique, your products, your tools, and like having those three things down gets your timing down for sure. And I know that can be hard if you're someone's employee because you're in a schedule and they might want you to be like, no, you only get 20 minutes for a Brazilian, so you better that's a lot of added pressure. But I feel like that's with every service. Lash extensions especially. It's when you first start out doing lash extensions, I tell all my students, trust me, my first full lash that I ever did took me 4 hours. Wow. And that was a classic lash set. There's nothing extra advanced or tricky about classic, and it still took me 4 hours the first time. So I always stress to my students, do not focus on the time. You've got to understand how your products work. You've got to find the right tools for you, because the tweezers that work for me aren't going to work for you, aren't going to work for you. The way I hold my tweezers aren't going to work for you. It might work for you, or you've really got to learn your product, learn your tools, understand your technique. Not even understand your technique, but understand why the technique is the way that it is, and your timing will come with that. And so now a classic set of lashes might take me an hour, hour and a half. So it went from 4 hours for a classic lash set to like hour, hour and a half.
You go,
but
girl.
That's all with, time and experience. Now I've been lashing for a gazillion years.
Man, I give lash artists so much props just because like I remember when I tried to even attempt to even see if I wanted to do lashes, I was like, man, this is hard work. Like the different, what is it, the MMs that you guys have to do, all this different stuff, and then the precision that you have to have with the tweezers and everything. I was like, man, lash artists, I always have so much respect for lash artists.
And let me tell you, the first time I sat down to do lashes, I was like, oh, I hate this. I hate this. This is going to take me forever. This is so tedious. I hate it. But I'm not a quitter.
No.
So I hated it, but I was like, no. I paid for this training. I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to get to the point where I feel like I'm good, and then I'll decide if this is something I'm going to keep doing. So like I didn't give up.
And look
I
at
kept
you
doing
now.
it. I know.
I know.
It's funny. I'll sit down to do lashes, and I've got like all my stuff, and I'm all ready to go, and I sit down like this, and I don't even have tweezers in my hand. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're just like a part of me. That just comes with time and doing a bazillion services.
I love that.
With waxing, somebody to say that they are a full body waxer, do you think it's essential that they learn the Brazilian wax? Or do you think being a full body waxer and offering maybe a bikini wax is enough?
Oh, I don't know. It's very high in demand, I feel, right now for Brazilian waxes. And I think also that the fact that for each person there's always an esthetician for somebody, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna resonate with your crowd of people, and those are gonna be your clients for you when you do your Brazilian waxes, because they're gonna match your personality and stuff like that. So I think even if you don't want to be like a full body waxer, always try and attempt to kind of learn the Brazilian wax. Yeah. Because I feel like once you do get it down, it's really fun. Yeah. The clientele that you have from it, it's a blast.
Yeah. And I think too, like, even if it's not going to be a service that you offer, it's definitely beneficial to have an understanding of the service. So like you were saying, like, even just learn and try it, because you're going to have clients who love and trust you for a holistic facial. And then they're going to be like, I've been thinking about doing a Brazilian. What are your thoughts? I think even if it's not something you offer, you can give them a genuine opinion on it, because you've tried it and you understand the basics, and kind of help them out in finding somebody that does a good Brazilian, or your 2 cents on what you think about it. And I mean, they trust your word. Obviously, they're letting you take care of their face. They're going to trust you with like a waxing recommendation.
Yeah.
Are there any other services you see wanting to offer?
I definitely want to get into like skin lightening. I want to do skin lightening treatments. Like, I definitely want to get into that. Next month I have planned to go to like the Long Beach convention. I remember last year I missed out on some of like the brightening classes and stuff like that. So I kind of want to sit in more on those this year and kind of learn more like the theory and everything behind it when it comes to skin brightening, because that's something I do want to offer, because I have a lot of like questions regarding that, or inquiries regarding that, and also lash lifts. Lash lifts are popular. Yeah, I've had a lot of inquiries about that too. So that's probably going to be another one of my services out in the future.
Yeah, lash lifts are a big one. And I know I have a couple of lash extension clients who get extensions all year, but then summer hits and they know they're going to be at the beach. They know they're going to be in the pool. They've got lots of family vacations planned, so it's hard for them to stay like consistent with their lash fills. And so they'll actually do a lash lift. We take those extensions off, we do a lash lift, and then they come in probably twice in the summer to renew that lash lift. And then when the kids go back in school, they come back for their lash extensions.
Love that.
So yeah, lash lifts are a big one. Lash lifts are big, and then brow laminations I feel like have kind of like simmered down a little bit. There's brow laminations are super, super popular, and we still get asked for them here. But that's kind of died down, but lash lifts have like stayed high demand. So that's a good one to offer.
It's that natural,
yes.
Like, which you already have, but just
amplify. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, some people, like, if your lashes aren't long enough to curl, get extensions. But lash lifts are great. And they're like, they're summer proof too. You can go swimming, you can go to the beach, your lashes are still lifted and pretty. Yeah, the skin lightening, I know that's a cool thing to kind of specialize in. There's like the dark spots, age spots, things like that people want help with. Because again, like, our goal is to make people feel confident and comfortable in the skin that they're in. So skin lightening is a really cool one to learn too. I did one class at a conference.
Oh, okay.
Just to like, what is this all about? And it was really cool. Like, intro to what that service is and how it even works. And then I did take a little mini course with a specific skincare brand. And that got super specific with how their products help with skin lightening. So yeah, there's a couple different ways to like go about and learn that. But the conference thing is, I encourage everyone to do a conference. At the very least, do a conference like every other year, just because so much in our industry changes.
A lot. Yeah. Last year was actually the first time I've ever been to one. And then that convinced me that I was like, I have to come to one of these at least once a year.
Yeah, if you can do them once a year, it's awesome. But like, definitely do at least every other. Because if you're going more than 2 or 3 years between going to a conference, you're missing out on so much. I used to get asked a lot, like, Kelli, how do you know all these new services? Like, I never even heard of that service before. And it's like, well, because I go to these conferences and I pay attention to like, oh, I haven't heard of that before. What's that? And I ask a lot of questions and I get real nosy and try to find somebody who's offering it so I can ask about it. But yeah, those conferences are great.
Yeah.
Highly.
The education is amazing too.
Highly recommend conferences. Now let's talk about future goals. So we talked a little bit about how you're working on a book and you're putting together some in-person one-on-one classes, but like, what do you want to see from yourself or from your business in the next like 5 to 10 years?
Teaching. I really want to teach.
It's something, the educational side.
Yeah, I really want to get into the educational side. I really want to, just because I know that a lot of the experience that, you know, like we were talking about earlier, it's really fundamentals, what you learn in beauty school. I really want to teach this new generation that's, you know, coming, like a lot more of like the more deeper side of how to do like a facial or how to do like a waxing service and stuff like that. So that's something that I definitely want to kind of transition my career little by little to just be a teacher. Yeah, I really do.
We all have such different experiences too that I think that once you hit a certain point in your career, you've got just so much experience to share with other people. I know one of the things that is a little frustrating that I see is people will, I don't know, be licensed less than a year and all of a sudden they want to teach. And it's like, well, what are you really teaching though? Like, you encounter so many different types of people with different problems and issues or hurdles to get over. You've been licensed since 2021, right? So you're going on 4 years almost. And all the new things you've incorporated and learned since becoming licensed, like had you started teaching right out the gate, all you're really teaching is what you just learned in beauty school. You know, like you've incorporated a more holistic approach to things now. You've tested a bazillion different types of waxes to do your waxing. And this is all like experience and knowledge that comes with time. And it kills me when I see people, oh, my class is only $50. But also, like, what are you really teaching people?
Yep.
Yeah.
And just like we were saying earlier, you really got to get that experience, you know, like the touching of the skin. No matter what, you're touching the skin, whether it's their lashes, their brows, their skin, the waxing, whatever. So get that experience first and really get a feel for it. And then once you feel like you've gotten to the point where you're, okay, I know I got this craft down, then you can start.
And I think that a lot of our knowledge comes from problem solving. And you have a product that, I don't know, maybe you have a favorite wax that works every single time on every type of hair, and then you get this client walk through the door and it does not work. Like, so how would you explain to a student what to do in that position if you've never been in that position? And these are all things that just come with time and experience. So it hurts my heart because, you know, the social media presence, like, oh, I've got a bazillion followers, but I've only really been doing this for 3 months, but let me teach you how to do it. That kills me. kills me.
Definitely give yourself the time. Let yourself grow, and like I said, just continue learning.
Yeah, don't rush your career. Like, it's even somebody like me who's been in the beauty space for over 20 years. I am still learning so much all the time. And there are things that I used to teach one way that I would never teach now because I've learned from it, or because techniques and products have changed. So now it makes that old way of doing things just obsolete. But it's like, just keep going, keep growing. Don't ever feel like you know it all, you learned it all, which I guess goes back to like doing these conferences and like just keep putting yourself out there and meeting people and bouncing ideas off of them. Is there anybody in like the holistic space that you feel you've been able to like collab with?
No, not yet. Not here locally. I know there's a few like estheticians that are here in California that I follow that do more of like a holistic approach, and like I'm really excited because they were telling me that are going to go to like the Long Beach conference too. So I can't wait to actually meet them in person, and so I am excited for that. But here in the Central Valley, not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's something you can like do. You can like, hey, you want to learn some holistic stuff? Yeah. Like, let's get together. We'll wax each other's arms and talk about.
Have a good time.
All right. So here's a question that I really look forward to all of my interviewees answering. What advice would you give 18-year-old you when it comes to finding their way into the career? What advice would you give 18-year-old you?
I think, honestly, don't listen to what no outside sources are telling you. You need to really think about where you want to see yourself in a couple of years is more like what I would say. If I could go back to my 18-year self, I would be like, as like I said, as much as I love and respect the medical field I do, I have so much appreciation and respect. If I could have started my career at 18 years old, I would have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine where I would have been now. Like, I've been like almost 13 years of me doing something at that point. So just don't let outside sources like make a decision for you. At the end of the day, you know what's best for you, and give everything like a solid chance. When times get rough, don't give up. That's like my biggest thing, because it does come, like obstacles coming your way where you're like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Is this the right choice for me? Even, with doing this for as long as I've been doing it now, there's been times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is hard. Like, and it's true. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And, not everybody is doing it. Not everybody wants to be like a solo esthetician. Some people want to work in a medical spa or wherever, like just a regular spa. Just give yourself the solid time and the opportunity to see things through and give it an opportunity to see how far you can go, because you'd be surprised what you can accomplish in like a year or 2 years, and you're like, wow, I didn't think I can actually pull through, and then all of a sudden you're like, here you are a whole year, 2 years later. You know what I mean? Like, if you take pictures of how you started as where you were 2 years from now, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that was me 2 years ago. Your growth is just exponential, and just keep it going.
Yeah, one of my big things is, for me personally, is I don't want to regret not trying.
Right.
I don't ever want to look back like, I really wish I would have done X, Y. When it comes to my career, I really wish I would have tried X, Y, and Z, or I really wish I just don't want to have any regrets. Like, if an opportunity presents itself and it makes sense, I want to take it. I want to just, why not? Like, let's just learn. Let's see where this goes. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I've got all this other stuff to lean back on, but I'm never going to know if I don't try. And I think it's really good to understand your why when you're self-employed. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? What is it you want to get out of this? Like, yes, most of us love the way we make our clients feel about themselves, but is that our why? Mm-hmm. What is our why? And for me, my big why is my kids, and I want them to grow up and feel like they had the freedom to try it. Just try it. If it works, awesome. If not, we've got other options. Mm-hmm. Like there's other routes we can take. And I think that I need to lead by example. Like I can't, go back to working my normal job in finance wearing slacks and button-up blouses every day. No, thank you. Mm-hmm. But then tell my kids to grow up and do whatever you want to be. But then I'm not doing that. So for me, my big why is I want to lead by example. I want to show my kids it's okay to try something and it not work out. Yeah. Let's try it this way instead. And just like you said, just keep going. Yeah. Just keep trying. Because why not?
You never know.
Who's telling you no? Yeah. Who's telling you no? I'm not. We're telling you yes. Yeah. We're telling you try it and go for it. Give it a whirl. Yeah. There's a lot of things I would love to tell 18-year-old Kelli. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Right? Is there anything else? Any other words of advice or words of encouragement you would like to share with anybody watching or listening?
I don't know what else. I mean, honestly, like I just said, kind of just repeating what I was saying earlier, we have a beautiful community out here. We really do. There's so many beauty professionals out here that they're just doing incredible things, and just get out there, network, connect,
have
fun. Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Just give it a whirl. You never know who you're going to meet. Yeah. That's going to also inspire you, and you guys can work together and bounce off ideas and things like that.
I know. And competition doesn't have to be scary. Competition can be friendly competition that motivates you and inspires you and gets you off your butt to do something. Yeah. It can be good, fun stuff. It doesn't have to be serious and scary all the time.
That's one thing I do want to say though. Esty Ashley, she does the Esty Collective. I do want to give her a big shout out for that, because Ashley is amazing. I've gone to so many of her networks, meeting other estheticians, and I have met some incredible girls out there doing just amazing things. So
it's a good way to get together with some friendly, like-minded people. Yeah. I know it can be intimidating. You show up, you feel like, I'm just a kid, I don't know anyone here, but just go. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your story and inspiring others. Maybe even letting people know about things they didn't know existed, like sound baths and holistic approaches to skincare, because I think it's super important that we don't get narrow in our way of thinking that things need to be done a certain way. Other people are doing it different ways all the time, and there's friendly faces like this one that you can talk to and get advice from and be friends with. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So all right, guys, that was our very first Cultivate Beauty podcast interview. Hope you enjoyed. We'll have all kinds of information below so that you can check out all that we have to offer and help you along your career path, hopefully. All right, guys. Bye. We'll see you in the next one. Yay!